Under Justin Trudeau, Canada has become a land of religious hatred, ethnic violence, and mass chaos on our streets. We see lots of examples of it. The most prominent one are the anti-Israel marches or the pro-Palestine. They're just, attacking Jewish businesses, calling for the death of all Jews, firing live ammunition to Jewish day schools, classic peaceful activism. It's not just Jews. In Canada, Christians can be attacked with impunity, churches are burned down, and the Prime Minister finds it all understandable. He's got to burn down a few churches based off a lie sometimes. Who doesn't? People with anti-Trudeau messaging. Having a van with right-wing slogans on it. F Trudeau, Trudeau must go. Anarchists, burn it down, because this is our streets. But I want to focus on an attack on the Hindu and Sikh community, fully supported by the establishment. Khalistani nonsense is out of control in Canada. And it is only out of control because we let it be out of control. And not only do we let it be out of control, I will argue we go one step forward and our establishment, our institutions, with the schools, government, the legal system, pushes hatred of Hindus and Sikhs upon each other. Why? We'll get into it. So you saw the scenes this weekend, right, of violence from the Khalistanis. I mean, look, they're waving Khalistani flags and attacking people celebrating Diwali. This is the new push, and this is what they're doing. They want to divide Sikhs and Hindus. Why do I say this? You can look at Jagmeet Singh's tweets about Diwali, wishing a happy Diwali to Hindus and Jains, because many people celebrate Diwali. You know who also celebrates Diwali? Sikhs. It's also a Sikh holiday. But Jagmeet's been distancing the Sikhs from their Sikh traditions for a long time because he doesn't like being a Sikh. He likes being a Khalistani. He wants to destroy India. He wants to destroy Hinduism. He also probably wants to destroy the real version of Sikhism too, to establish this quasi-lefto-Islamist version of Sikhism called Khalistanism. Khalistanis are basically, Pakistani bot farms supported by Western leftists with a turban put on top of it. That's what Khalistan is. And you see this where there's Sikh people consistently confronting the Khalistanis. Now here's the real malicious part. This is what they do to build a narrative. Because we can't talk about Khalistan, because we took Khalistanis off the terrorism watch list, despite them blowing up the Air India flight, despite them being the most prolific terrorists in our country's history, attacking Canadians and Indian Canadians and Indian diplomats alike, ruining our society. We took them off the list. Now we don't call them Khalistanis, they're what? Militants who want a separate blah, 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 and a term that no one could ever remember or use properly. So, because the Khalistanis attacked the Hindus and the Sikhs and the Jains on Diwali, they knew that no one in the establishment would have the courage to say, hey, those are Khalistanis. That's wrong. No, instead they know they'll get too scared. They don't want to say anything because there's no white people involved, so we don't care. There's no one to blame or feel bad for. Just a bunch of non-whites. Who knows? Now, this leaves the ignorant to frame this as Sikhs versus Hindus. And this is what the Khalistanis want. This is what Jagmeet Singh wants. This is what Jagmeet Singh wants. He wants Sikhs to be demeaned. This is the old Muslim Brotherhood tact. Same thing for many radicals. You want to have the wider population, the good, hardworking, well-adjusted Sikh Canadians, and like you see it in Sikh communities even in India and Canada, like some of the most successful, well-adjusted, overly represented in like military support in our country and like police officing RCMP. He wants to take those people and mix them with the Khalistanis. So people on the other side of the political spectrum who don't really know what they're talking about, are new to the Khalistani thing, will start demeaning Sikhs. Or Hindus will start attacking Sikhs. Or Sikhs, like what they want, what the Khalistanis want. Step one is increase hatred of Sikhs domestically. Because if the Sikh community feels like it's under attack because they're not being properly parsed out from the Khalistanis, it will drive more people into the Khalistani victimhood narrative. And this is where the left comes in. The way the Khalistanis have been able to, expertly infiltrate our society. One, yes, they got help from the Muslim Brotherhood and the Pakistani ISI and tons of money for, this is a foreign astroturfed BS movement, okay? It's dead in India, it's alive here in Canada. But they hijacked the progressive narrative of victimhood. We are the victims. India oppresses Sikhs. 1984 was a genocide. It wasn't. There was a pogrom against Sikhs as a reaction to the assassination of Indira Gandhi, which was a reaction to Operation Blue Star, which was a reaction to all the terrorism being run at the Golden Temple and the mass terrorism that had swept the Punjab region from the Khalistanis that was funded by Pakistan the year before, right? But they want to turn it into a genocide. They want to turn it into this giant victimhood narrative. They want to claim that Sikhs are oppressed in India, even though Sikhs are like the most successful minority group in India. Not just financially, but like diplomatically, like in Indian society, like the success and like prestige of the Sikh community is like one of the best. Like of the 5 different categories of like they sort of like wealth in the country, like tier 1, 6 out of 10 Sikhs fall into tier 1 of like the wealth in India, in the top 20%. 6 out of 10. Like, what are you talking about? What they want to do is play this leftist victimhood narrative, drive the Khalistani narrative, brainwash the kids coming in here. These just kids were just taking it from the Punjab region with no thoughts of integrating anyone, because God forbid we integrate any immigrants in Canada. Just send them to these radical gurdwaras in Surrey or Brampton, where they teach about the glories of going into India and killing people. Literally the literature that coming into the Brampton gurdwaras. And we push them into these things, and they tell the Sikhs who just got here they're victims. They're victims and they're oppressed. And there's oppressed and oppressors and this and that. We must do this. This is what they want. The Khalistanis, which is basically a Pakistani ISIS group, which are not Sikhs, they want to make Sikh Canadians feel unsafe, uncomfortable, and unloved, so they will be driven to further Khalistani nonsense. And they never want you to say Khalistan. They want to take it off because they want you to call them Sikh extremists. That's what they want you to call them, so they can play this up. Now, that's just how they treat their own people, the people that Khalistanis claim to protect, the great defenders of the Sikh nation. They don't care about Sikhs. They want Sikhs to have miserable lives here to drive them to extremism. Now, the other thing they want to do, the reason why they want people in their movement, is of course to then hurt the Hindu and Indian community, because that is their main goal. They don't want to build anything, they just want to tear it down. Don't believe me? Ask any Khalistan a question about what happens day 2 of Khalistan. Ask them what is your plan for day 2 of Khalistan, and watch it all break down. But what they are doing to Indians, you see it is deliberate, is they are separating, the Sikh connection to Diwali. Yeah, that's fine. So they can frame this as a Sikh versus Hindu thing. But then they want to take it to make bad actors in the political space say, look at what happened on Diwali. It's these Indian immigrants that are out of control, no respect for Canadian values, making a mess of everything. Well, yeah, because they were attacked by Khalistanis and we didn't protect them. They didn't have time to, stand and sweep while they're getting rocks thrown at them by radicals who hate them. No framing of that. No framing of what actually happened that is correct. It's just this, Sikhs versus Hindus to whip up everyone across the political spectrum, right? The lefties get whipped up because they're like, these people are throwing rocks at Hindus. The Hindus must deserve it. Oppressor, oppress. Blah, 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 blah. Right? Same Palestinian logic there. But then the right, they want to give them red meat. Because, listen, there are serious immigration problems. We have unvetted mass migration. That is a real problem. But the problem is not the people celebrating Diwali on Diwali. That's not the problem. The problem is radical Khalistanis, Islamists, or whoever else who don't want to integrate, who want to take these, in this case, dead hatred, these dead movements, and pump them full of life and money here in Canada to create ethnic division. That's the problem. So this whole framing of this as sort of Diwali violence and separating Sikhs from Hindus, I see this coming a mile away. I see where this is going. You could say this is my special Jew powers, because I've seen how the establishment, how the leftists, how the Islamists, how even the Khalistanis sometimes, but the Trudeau government and the institutions, I see when they all work together to build up a narrative over weeks and months of Israel being nefarious, far right, blah, blah, blah. India gets the same, Hindutva, Hindu nationalist, blah, 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 blah. There is a concerted effort from the Canadian establishment, funded and pushed by radicals who likely have foreign funding from Pakistan, to create a narrative that will lead to violence, hatred, and general chaos in the Hindu community. It is clearly being built. There's the framing of Sikhs versus Hindus when it's not. The complete appeasement of Khalistani nonsense. The destruction of the Sikh faith to make it more of a public image of the Khalistani movement. Framing the Hindus as oppressors when they themselves are being attacked. And tying all of this into the standard center-left, left-wing academic narrative, so it is protected. That when the Hindus try and tell their side of the story, try and stand up for themselves, try and defend themselves, the same radical leftists who have saw the horrors of October 7th and still decide to blame the Jews because they have no ability to look inside themselves and ask any questions. Were they wrong? Did they make poor choices? Did they get into bed with the wrong people? They have no capability for introspection. Only malice for those who would shatter their worldview. They are not noble in the face of cognitive dissidence, to say the least. And they are so vicious when their own ideologies are threatened. And these people are being whipped up and flamed very slowly and brought in together. And then they're also using the far right to just generally attack Sikhs and Hindus to build up this narrative that, oh, it's Sikhs and Hindus colliding, oh, it's coming from the Modi government, oh, far-right Hindu nationalism, that's really what's doing here, it's about all this, and the real villains will be the Hindus who stand up for themselves within a month or two. I've seen this before. I've seen it done against the Jewish people. I see it being done to the Hindu people as well. It is willful, it is malicious, it is dangerous, and it needs to be confronted openly and vociferously.